Welcome back to Black Mesa. I'm actually kind of in a little bit of a bad way right now. I really hope we don't get into another confrontation, but, well, the fact of the matter is that we've gone from disaster to war, so, yeah. I'm hit, he says. I'm hit. You know, if it wasn't for the fact that I was wearing this suit, I'd be holding so much metal in me that I'd just be like jangling when I walk. So sorry if I'm not sympathetic. And you know what? I'll bet that these security officers shouted, "I'm hit," too. Did you ever think about that? No, of course you didn't. There was a cut there. Did you notice it? I hope not. Like, it would really be a shame if I drew attention to the fact that I'm doing, like, several cuts between saves. That would be very bad. So then, this chapter is called Surface Tension. And it's called that because, well, we're out here on the surface, and things are becoming decidedly tense. Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of explosions in this chapter, I think. I mean, there were explosions before, naturally, but this one sort of ramps up the amount of things that's blowing up. Really trying to get to more of an action movie feel, you know? And, well, it's going to be non-stop encounters with Marines, so you want to be looking around for as much health and ammo as you can. Like, I'm not going to exaggerate when I say that Marines in this game, and actually in the original Half-Life, are the deadliest enemies you can come across. But imagine this. Like, imagine being out in this open area, fighting guys with perfect accuracy. Guys who would be unafraid to rush your position and flank you from multiple sides. And, yeah, I really don't know how anyone played the original Black Mesa. Back in Half-Life proper, guards can't actually run and shoot at the same time. Or Marines, I should say. So one advantage you have with them there is that either they're immobile targets or they're unable to shoot at you. And one of the not too popular changes I have with Half-Life Source is that the reaction times of Marines seem to get like bumped up considerably to the point where like there's basically no downtime at all between them stopping and them shooting. So they can just run super fast right up to your face and oh, check out this, by the way. Yeah, kind of cutting it a little bit close there, aren't I? It's alright. This encounter gives you oodles of health and armor. Probably anticipating that, you know, you'd be in a bit of a rough way right here. One thing I discovered from this as well is that the crowbar is surprisingly effective against Marines. Like, especially if you hit them in the face with it. And I don't know if you noticed there, but yeah, those yellow lunch boxes, that was radioactive material, ammunition for the Tau cannon, also known as the Gauss gun. It's called the Gauss gun in in-game files, but then officially it was called the Tau cannon, so I think either one works. I'm kind of just going to use it interchangeably. This helicopter here, originally the game had like 4 or 5 different helicopters that would chase you throughout the level, but instead they've chosen just to do one like hyper persistent helicopter, which means that yeah, you can drive it off whenever it appears. It's interesting to note actually that the Tau cannon, and actually all heavy weaponry, can actually do damage to armor. It used to be that small arms fire, like if you aim to certain weak spots, could also actually harm it, but that's been changed now to where it's only heavy weaponry. Hey there, nasty. Bye-bye now. There's supposed to be 2 ichthyosaurs in this water, but I don't know, maybe the other one got stuck on something again. His loss, my gain. And here's me in the basic file, like not the hat playthrough, noticing that, yeah, I was given a whole bunch of ammunition for my experimental weaponry there. Nothing to shoot at. Well, I'm just going to have to rectify that somehow, but you know, we'll get to that. This here is a little bit of a break in between all the frenetic shooting. Just kind of like a slow-paced decompression period after having gone through the entire, like, preceding shootouts and the sequence of the helicopter on the dam. I feel like that's kind of important. Like, you need to give the player a time to breathe. It can't be just non-stop action, because otherwise that becomes a little bit too stressful, a little bit too pressuring. Pressuring? Is that a word? No, I don't think it is. Oh, and here's a new exciting development. Yeah, headcrabs. They burrow. This isn't even an invention of Black Mesa. They were doing this in the original, too. There was this whole desert section, in fact, where not only did you have to deal with burrowing headcrabs, but you also had to navigate around a tentacle. Oh yeah, those things, they can burrow underneath the sand, too. And you had to kind of grab ammunition while distracting the thing so it wouldn't, you know, eviscerate you. Although this brings to mind a problem. A really big one, in fact. What the heck is New Mexico supposed to do, even if we manage to stop the aliens from coming in? Think about it. Like, just because we, I don't know, close the portal or something, whatever's still on the other side of the portal isn't going to magically go away. Which means that anyone trudging through the New Mexico desert could suddenly, like, come across a tentacle jumping out of the sand and just smacking him in the face, or worse, a head crab jumping out of the sand, and yeah, we could be looking at zombifications for miles. Who knows how long these things live, and what if they can mate? What if they can multiply? Like, we are dealing with, effectively, maybe a dozen new kinds of fauna interacting with our world in ways that we can't possibly imagine. Like, this resonance cascade has permanently altered the world in a very fundamental way. don't know if you can hear this, but I'm hearing the whimpers of Hound Eyes. Not good. Because there's a lot of very complicated shimmying that we're doing here. And if we happen to run across a Hound Eye while we're shimmying along a ledge, then yeah, that can make you a little bit nervous. And as you know, there's always more than one Hound Eye. As I understand it, in the original Half-Life, they actually had this strange interaction where if there were multiple Hound Eyes in one location, they would actually start to resonate with one another and create an even bigger shockwave than usual. I don't know if that's in this game as well, but it definitely was in the original. Like, they would actually have different colors of shockwaves, like white, purple, blue, and the color would indicate how powerful they'd gotten with it. I guess they sort of didn't really try to indicate that sort of thing just because it would be needlessly complicated. Now, have we gone this way before? No, we haven't. The rule about first-person shooters is, you know if you've been somewhere before because you can just follow the bodies. If there are people here who are not dead, then it means that you're in the right place. Oh yeah, more grenades. Always a welcome sight. In addition, we got ourselves some health and armor, and yeah, you remember how we started? How at one point we were as low as 2 health? Did you hear that?
Get back.
Sorry, buddy, but I can't comply with that request. But yeah, Half-Life and its sequels is a very sort of swingy sort of series where things can shred you down very quickly, but there's often resources in order to help you come back up just as quickly. So you're never in a real state of constant equilibrium like you would be in games with regenerating health. It's one of the few cases where you can have fixed health and have it done right, if you get what I'm saying. Rather than trying to make it so that every encounter is streamlined and regenerating health just solves all your issues with balancing resources. Instead they have to figure, how much damage do they think he's going to take, and if so, how much health will he need in order to recover? Wait, this doesn't look right. Yep, it's a minefield. Now these things are actually not as deadly as you might think. I mean, sure, they'll do damage, but at least you'll survive it. And yes, I know what you're thinking. You can, in fact, use the top hat in order to defuse mines. But yeah, in the original, stepping on a landmine was instant death, and they were invisible. So how could you figure out where the landmines were? Well, they gave you 200 rounds for your SMG, and they basically told you, have fun. All you did was you basically just fired out ahead of you, and if the ground exploded, you found a mine. If that doesn't sound fun to you, it's because it really wasn't. Excuse me, I am trying to navigate a minefield here. No respect, seriously. Well, that showed them. Actually, I'm gonna say something real quick. This whole sequence has been expanded out to a considerable degree. And there's one rather significant change that's coming up right here. You see those jets? You see how there's 3 of them? Well, back in the original Half-Life there was only 2 jets. And then the Half-Life Source, there were... Wait, no. Half-Life had 1 jet, Half-Life Source has 2 jets. And things kill you instantly, because that's the Half-Life experience, baby. So this whole section here. The Cliffside is generally what I usually remember of surface tension. Like, if there's one sequence that sort of is the memorable one for this level, it's probably this. Like, there were shooters with extensive outdoor sections before, but this whole, like, idea of just going across a dangerous cliff with this wide open world around you, like, that was the sort of thing that really caught the imagination, I think. Alright, so there's going to be a barnacle coming up, and you have to take care to shoot it, because otherwise, well, it's a bit of a dirty trick. It's right situated between you and where you want to go, and, well, if it picks you up, it's probably going to drop you right into the void. Now this button, it doesn't appear to do anything, but once you press it, pardon me, once you press it and you go back along the rock face, you'll notice that there are some areas where you can drop down. And there's this cave here, which just mysteriously teleports you to a hidden shack belonging to a certain scientist fella. You might have seen the mention of him in Questionable Ethics. His name is Dr. Horn. And he is, well, let's not mince words. He's just a cameo from one of the creators of Black Mesa. Somewhat obsessed with pizza, actually. And there's this whole, like, alternative reality game based around just finding all the clues about hidden pizza riddles. Don't know what this whole thing about the tower is. Like, this seems like a mysterious guide to world domination here. Yeah, there's a greater mystery behind the whole thing, I'm sure, but I suppose that's kind of its own thing for people who actually really care about that sort of thing. Like me, I don't really care about ARGs. They usually involve, like, really complicated amount of, like, searching through code, clipping through walls, and things like that, and that's the sort of thing that I can't really be bothered to check. I mean, in the end, what do you learn? Just something or other about pizza. Like, just some kind of giant joke. Oh, you did, buddy. And now I'm gonna hit you. I think one of us is a little bit more effective than the other. Now you might wonder why I am still going along this mountainside with the hat. Well, it's because this actually leads to an alternate way of reaching our next destination. Let's see what the regular, straightforward route is. Here's a hint. It involves sliding down a drain pipe. Or at least I assume this is a drain pipe. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of this structure is, to be honest. You can tell that I've never really worked in the blue-collar side of things because there's a lot of stuff that actually confuses me about this place. For instance, rockets. I mean, I assume that everybody keeps rockets at their workplace, but it's still not something that I'm used to. Pardon me again. These guys really shouldn't be throwing grenades in these kind of perilous conditions and keeping boxes with infinite numbers of rockets in it too. Hey, wait a minute, this is a landline phone. Hey, wait a minute, this phone isn't connected to anything.
Power level is 100%.
And yeah, you can tell by the conspicuous smoke trail, but this is the helicopter that we beat up before. Why don't we follow it and see where it leads? I mean, I guess, yeah, because of the whole tracking devices, it sort of makes sense that they can see us coming before we even come into view, but nonetheless, it still remains a little bit startling whenever they're, shouting our name before we even see them. Now, what have we here? Hey, it's our old friend, laser-guided turrets. And just like before, they're easily foiled by liberal applications of explosives. But we're going to have to be careful here. Once one gets destroyed, they all come online, so it's time to do a simultaneous detonation. See, you'd know these kinds of things if you ever went into the scientific field. How to use a rocket launcher, I guess. I don't know, maybe he had a potato gun as a kid, I don't know. But yes, a laser-guided RPG. Now what could we use this on, I wonder? Yeah, I suppose this was kind of obvious. For the record, even though it's supposed to be an introduction to the rocket launcher, there's nothing that says we can't just use the Tau cannon in order to deal with this thing as well. Although it takes a sudden amount of damage, so it's actually not recommended. It's gonna take half a dozen rockets in order to take this thing down. Closer to like 4 or 5, but you know what I mean. Yeah, we're in the part of the game where we're just killing military vehicles. Now, this next jump here, well, not here, coming up, it's going to be a little bit perilous, considering naturally where we are and what we're doing. And if you look to your right, as these jets come flying in, you'll notice a set of buildings like off in the distance that's going up with a big boom. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think that someone might have just dropped a huge bomb, like right on a series of buildings. Or maybe there was like an accident and I don't know, something detonated. I don't know. The point is that, yeah, things are starting to escalate quickly. What a suspicious amount of generosity. And in fact, this whole area is actually surprisingly open-ended. You can take any number of approaches and it'll all get you to the same place. And that is up here in this wide courtyard with a whole bunch of soldiers and one special guest. Yeah, it's a tank. What of it? And here's the downside to the crowbar plan. Yeah, sometimes when enemies fall over, you can get stuck in them. Which is, well, needless to say, a little bit detrimental to the whole survival thing. You'll excuse all the car sounds in the background. Like, I'm going to try to edit most of them out, but yeah, there's a bit of heavy traffic going on right outside my window right now. Boom. Yeah. There was actually a little bit of a bug related to Half-Life Source. Specifically, things that were armored were supposed to be something that you couldn't damage with small arms fire. But for some reason, and I don't know why, you could actually do damage to vehicles using conventional weaponry, which could create an interesting situation where potentially you could use like a handgun or a crowbar in order to blow up a tank. I'll see if I can get like bonus footage of that, because yeah, I neglected to get it in my initial recording. And yeah, what's the deal with this garage anyway? Other than, I guess, like, scene dressing where, yeah, you can, like, raise and lower cars. I'm not seeing, like, a hole in the ceiling or something. It's not, like, some kind of puzzle. Oh, well. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Because we have ourselves an armored personnel carrier to fight now. Yeah, we are kind of racking up the kills, aren't we? Actually, was that an APC or just a smaller tank? I'm sure that somebody who's more knowledgeable than me would probably know that, but... basically my knowledge extends to, like, is it if it's a vehicle with a turret, then it's a tank. Like, if they made one of those alignment charts that are all the rage, then... yeah, basically there would be something like... a vehicle with treads and a turret is a tank. Or something like that. Did you see that, by the way? That brief snatch of something flying through the air? Yeah, these aliens, they're airborne. They have their own aerial vehicles. And, yeah. This area is mined. So, that gives us something fun to look forward to next time.